Hi, Vanessa. You're the first one to join. Namaste. Hello, everyone. We're going live on Facebook and Instagram. Hi, Lavi. Today we have another amazing guest, Copal. He's a shaman, and I'm very anxious and excited and joyful. Sarjan, you need to guide Copal that he has to join me from Instagram. He has to send a join request. Hi Zore, hi Afsun. Zore John, tell Sahar to tell Copal that he needs to send a join request. Okay. So here we go. He's going to join us soon. Hi, Parisajan. Hi, Samira. Hello, Sharzad. Hi, Lily. Hi, Samini. Good to have you guys. Yeah, me too, Afsun. I'm also looking forward to have a join live with him. Hi, Reza. Good to have everyone here. So guys, how are you guys doing since last week? What have you come up with regarding addictions? And what tools have you guys used to help you with overcoming your addictions? Hi, Nina. Can you please write a comment here so I know what's going on with you guys? Was the life helpful regarding addiction? And what's our goal for 2021? My goal is to overcome my addiction. Yes. How about you guys? Hello, everyone. Hi, Samira. Please write a comment, guys. I need to know, number one, if the addiction live was helpful, seeing our emotions. Okay. Yes or no? Was the live helpful? Did you guys get something that helps you to know yourselves a little more? Yes or no? And also, how are you going about it? Hi, Nina John. Good to have you here. Hi, Nargis. Okay. Copal, can you send me a request, please? Join request. That would be lovely. My voice and picture is not sync. Are you guys talking about Facebook or Instagram? Zoref, are you talking about Facebook or Instagram, honey? Hi, Moji. Hi, Margaret. Hi, Yelda. There we go. Yes, we are here. Well, hello, Copal. We did it.
Finally, we managed somehow.
Beautiful. We are.
I don't hear you so clearly, which is a bit frustrating.
You can hear me clearly?
Now
How
it's a bit
about
better.
now? Is it
Yeah,
better
that's actually
now?
much better. Yeah, that's much better.
Okay. Okay, beautiful. We are very excited and honored to have you here.
Thank you.
And we want to know, sure. And we want to know everything about you. Who is Copal? Where is the name coming from? We want to know everything about you.
Okay. Well, I'll give it to you in a nutshell then. My name is Copal. I'm a healer. I'm from London. My name came to me in a long and roundabout sort of a way, but most recently, I had an exchange in the Amazon rainforest. I have a teacher there, a shaman, with whom I study. And I had a kind of a profound experience with a tree. and I had a conversation with the tree. I know that sounds quite strange, but part of the process of studying shamanism within the Peruvian culture is we engage with different plants and trees. It's a long process. It takes many days just to connect with an individual plant or tree, at least 3. And we are fasting, only taking very plain food, no salt, no sugar. And then we ingest a part of a tree. And we sit with that medicine for 3 days, a week, a few weeks, perhaps a month, maybe 3 months, depending on the tree we're working with. And we receive the wisdom and messages from these tree spirits. And in short, I had an exchange with a tree, a copal tree. And we actually agreed to swap names. Before then, I was named Gopal after spending many years in and out of Hindu monasteries. So I went from being Gopal to Copal.
Very interesting. I have also been to Peru, and I in the rainforest and walk with shamans. So tell me, we're not talking about ayahuasca?
In those cases, no. I mean, ayahuasca is very much part of the culture of Amazonian shamanism, particularly in the area of Peru that I go to. We do work with ayahuasca, but for me, that's not really the be-all, the end-all. The purpose of ayahuasca, really, from a shaman's point of view, and I have to just qualify something on the lovely poster that you created about our conversation this evening. I think you described me as a shaman, and I wouldn't personally call myself a shaman.
Okay.
I would say the work I do is definitely shamanic in nature. However, for me, a guy from Europe of, white skin, middle class upbringing, calling myself a shaman would feel a little bit pretentious for me. My teacher is a shaman. I have many teachers who are shamans. They're born into the culture. They study their whole lives. My teacher's education took place in the forest. When he was a small boy, he met some curanderos, which are healers, and they introduced him to the plants and the trees. And all his education was in vision, in the forest, with the trees, with the plants. And yes, of course, he worked with ayahuasca, but many, many other plants and trees too. So in this culture, somebody is unwell and they go to a shaman. They say, please help me. I'm sick. I need to be okay. So the shaman says, sit down. They sit down. The shaman drinks the ayahuasca, not the patient, because the ayahuasca opens the vision to be able to see what is necessary for the path of healing for that individual. So it's very unusual for, I mean, now it's become very popular for people to drink ayahuasca, and they love to go and meet shamans, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's used a little differently nowadays than it always was traditionally.
So now both sides are drinking ayahuasca, right?
I'm sorry, say again.
I said now, in nowadays, both sides are drinking ayahuasca.
Yes, nowadays it's become something that's very popular. It's quite fashionable. People want to drink ayahuasca. They want to have the experience of and don't get me wrong, one can have amazing experiences with ayahuasca. It can be very consciousness opening and mind expanding and heart opening, and it can have many, many very powerful positive effects. There are also the potential for some unpleasant side effects that, if people aren't prepared for, can send people into a long, painful journey. And yeah, it's not always the best thing for people, I think. I mean, as I say, it can be very powerful, very positive, very useful. But there are circumstances when I think it's perhaps not the right thing. But it's become such a fashionable thing to do that it's almost on people's bucket list, their tick list. They want to experience ayahuasca, and yeah, just like that.
So tell us about your journey into healing.
Wow. From the age of 16, people were telling me, "Oh, you're a healer." I didn't even know what that meant. So it's not like one lightning flash moment where everything changed for me and all of a sudden I felt like I'm a healer. It was a series of incremental learnings and teachings and experiences and meeting teachers and having experiences that's kind of led me to learning more and more about the art of healing, the path of healing. And it just became something that I learned over a period of time. It's been, well, over 20 years now I've been working as a healer, and I never stopped learning. I don't think we ever stop learning as healers. And I think that's an important part of the journey as well, is to continually learn. So I don't think I've reached the destination. I'm not there. There isn't a place to get to. It's a constant journey of evolution.
Okay. So I've been in this field for a while, and I had a lecture at one of the expos that when it comes to this part of healing, we're kind of have so many different modalities. What do you think about that?
Many different modalities of healing. I think that's a wonderful thing. In fact, I teach a course called the Shamanic Energy Healer Training. And I was doing a module at the weekend just gone, and we were actually discussing this. We were saying about all the different things that we could learn. And I said, I don't think there's any limit to the wonderful things we can learn. And when somebody comes to me for some healing, because I have trained in so many different things, I've done body working, I've done myofascial release, I've done inversion therapy, I've done Reiki, different types of massage, nutritional studies, so many different fields that I've investigated through my own personal study or going to courses, that if someone comes to me with an issue, I have different angles that I could go to, different angles I could come from to find solutions to that person's problem. I think the more different modalities that we can understand and integrate into our practice, the better. Why just focus on one speciality? In the medical world, bless them, everyone who becomes a doctor, I think they do so for the best intentions, but they tend to go the opposite way. They tend to specialize in one thing. Or I'm going to become a hip specialist, or I'm going to become a heart specialist, or a brain surgeon. They don't look at the whole. Whereas many people are interested in, alternative, more ancient techniques of healing, tend to try to be more expansive and to study more and more different ways of looking at things as a whole unit, rather than just focusing on one. I think it's very important to be as expansive as possible.
Okay, we're having some sound trouble. I'm getting an echo. Sahar is asking, is it possible for you to use a headphone set free?
No, I don't have any here. I can maybe try to move a little closer to my device, but I've got pretty clear signal here.
Right, because we're getting echo. My voice is coming back, and I don't know where we're getting that. It's not. We usually don't have that issue, but it's not that we can't hear you well. It's just the echo that's coming back.
Maybe it'd be more helpful if you use headphones, and then the sound that's coming out of your phone won't go back in.
Okay, let's try that.
These kind of echoes usually come from that kind of feedback.
Yes, let me try that. Good idea.
I did try to lower the volume on my device, but it didn't make any difference.
Okay,
I've had a go at that as well.
Try this. Okay, are we doing better?
Well, let's see, inshallah.
What do you think, guys? Is this better?
Sounds great to me.
Okay, I think it's fine. Okay, beautiful.
I just apologize for my lighting. I've had to actually come out to help a friend move house, and he doesn't have electricity here. So I've got this lovely little ring light, which is what's lighting me up. But it's getting darker here. I don't know where you are in the world. I'm in Portugal, so the sun is just sort of setting or set behind me, so it's getting darker.
It's beautiful. It's fascinating. We love it.
It's a lovely place to be.
Okay.
I do enjoy being here.
Yeah. So tell us, what kind of modality are you working on so far?
Well, as I said before, I teach a course called the Shamanic Energy Healer Training. And what I've done is I've taken bits and pieces from all the different trainings that I've done through my life and merged them all together, because essentially I want to be able to teach everything I know about healing so that the healing can continue. I worked out that if every student who comes to my course does just their homework from the first module, they would be required to do 30 healings as their homework. And I have had, you know, hundreds of students come through this course. If they all do 30 healings, that's so much more healing than I would ever be able to do in my life.
Okay.
So I think that's a really beautiful thing. But it's a mix. You know, I bring Vedic culture. As I say, I spent many years in and out of Hindu monasteries, so I really have learned a lot about their philosophy and the way their cosmology and the way things work from that perspective, which is fascinating. And I don't suppose there's too many people that are integrating that with the shamanism from the Peruvian Amazon, which is where a lot of my training has been happening. I worked a lot. We mentioned ayahuasca before. I have worked a lot with ayahuasca. I have a long history working with this beautiful plant spirit. When I first met her, she said to me, "Right, you work for me now." I was like, "Oh, okay. Tell me what to do." She said, "I will, but for now you drink." And then after some time, I was engaged in service and ceremonies and looking after people and doing energy healing. And a lot of the techniques that I've learned directly from working with this beautiful queen of the forest and how she's taught me all these different techniques. I can't say I follow one particular modality.
Got it. I'm sorry for interruption. They're saying, is it possible for you to lower your mic?
Lower my mic. I tried to lower the volume of my phone, but that didn't seem to make much difference. I wonder if it would make a difference if I left the live and then you brought me back in again. Should we try that?
Let's
Maybe
try
just
that.
Like that
Sure.
Let's try that.
That would be beautiful. Thank you. Thanks. Okay. It could be, guys, because so you see the problem, the issue is not from my mic. It could be that first he tried to come, I don't know, from WhatsApp, and then we re-add him again. So let's see how that goes. How you can tell if someone is a healer, Nina? In my experience, there we go. Let me see. I think there is a inner knowing that somehow when we get connected to our higher self, we can experience that. Hello. Okay,
Hello.
let's see. Okay, I think we're good now.
Let's see if that's any better.
Yes.
Let's see.
All right. Okay.
Is that better?
So yes. Now we're good. So tell me, Copal, what are you teaching in your course? First of all, how long is it, and where do you start, and how does it go?
Okay. It's a modular course. Each module is a weekend. So we spend 2 days together, and nowadays, because of the whole lockdown scenario that we find ourselves in, it's taught over Zoom. So we meet for the whole weekend, and in the first module, it's a module that's designed for both experienced healers, for example, you know, Reiki masters and people with experience at this level, but also people who've never done energy healing before. We can really cater for both levels of experience. And one of the first things we teach is how we are able to protect our own energy. A lot of people, when they're working healing for other people, they find themselves picking up a lot of energies from other people. We have a lot of empaths in our midst, and they struggle a lot because they can feel, particularly when doing energy work, they feel everything the other person's feeling, and that's very difficult. And a lot of people are carrying spirits and jinn, you might say, and you know, that can be very, very challenging for the healer. So we need to know how to maintain our own energetic boundaries and how to not pick stuff up from other people. This is really important. So this is really one of the first lessons in this course. And then we learn about how we're opening our channels to call the energies through us, that we can channel this energy. We're working with the breath, we're working with our physical body, how we move, how we hold ourselves, how we contain this energy, how to be sure that the energy we're channeling is not depleting us, but we're bringing directly from source. So whether you want to call that source God or Allah or Krishna or the divine, the universe, that's fine. However you like to describe that, they all work. But it's keeping that energy coming from a very pure source, so that we are like from in the course, I explain that if you imagine a solar panel is collecting light from the sun, this is our crown chakra, and we're collecting divine light straight from source. And we're bringing this into our heart, which is like a battery. Our battery is being charged. We can then send that charge to somebody else for healing. Now, the difference is, if we're just powering from our own battery, our battery becomes depleted. But if we're doing this work in the daylight, i.e. we're connected to light, then our battery is being charged the whole time that we're sending healing through for somebody else. We never become depleted. We're always being charged. I see a lot of healers working, and at the end of one session or a day's work, they are exhausted. This should not be happening. We should finish a day's work feeling like we've done nothing harder than sit in front of a friend all day. You know, we should feel energized. We should feel vitalized. So this is something very important that I bring to the course as well, and some wonderful techniques that you know, that have just been given to me over the course of the time that I've been working with shamanic healing. And then we go on. The next module, or they could be done in any order. There's a module that's all about shamanic healing for the mind and the energy body. We're all conditioned beings. From the moment we're born, we have these programs that are created in our minds, and childhood traumas and all these things, they enmesh into our energy body, into our chakras. And when somebody comes to me and says, I'd like some healing, and I say, what would you like healing for? And they tell me their story, I can often see beyond their story into what their core wounds are, and where in their energy body the blockages are. And I can show them how they can release those and clear those. It's very powerful. There's a whole other module that's completely focused on distance healing techniques. Though, of course, in this module 1, we do some distance healing, because nowadays it's very difficult to go and meet clients and people to come to us. There's another module purely about how to survive, how to work, how to thrive as an empath. So there's so much. I want to teach everything I know. The challenge, of course, is I'm still learning. So I don't know how many modules there will be. I'll give all I have. I'll give all I have.
Great. Can we start with the first module? How to protect your own?
Yeah, I'll let you into a little secret. Many people are concerned with protection, and they put a lot of focus and energy into protection. But just a little insight into the way the universe works. The energy we put out is what comes back to us. And we have 2 qualities of energy that we put out. We have this mental energy, this electric energy of the mind. We have this magnetic energy from the heart, from our feeling center. And when these 2 energies are in harmony together, that's what creates our reality. Now, if we're putting out mental signals that we need protection, and we're feeling the need for protection, yes, we'll have protection. However, the universe says, oh, you want protection? Well, I'll give you stuff to protect yourself against. So the stronger the protection spells or energy you put out, the stronger the forces come to you, which you need to protect yourself from. And your protection will either always be just enough or not quite enough, depending on your belief systems. And that's another thing we talk about. Our beliefs control our reality. So when I say I teach people how to protect themselves, that's not exactly true. What I teach people is how to create boundaries that they don't need protection. So it's a subtle difference, and maybe it's just semantics from this perspective, but it makes a huge difference. We're not actually protecting ourselves, because we are all connected with everything that is. Everything is merely energy. If it's all energy, then it's really about, maybe it's just about allowing energies to pass through us. So for example, as an empath, we feel what other people feel. We feel it so strongly inside our body that it feels like it's our own feelings. And because we feel it's our own feelings, we might hold on to it. And that's what causes problems. But if we allow it to just pass through, it comes in, we observe, I feel sadness. That's interesting. Whose sadness is it? Is it mine? No. Whose is it? Oh. By distancing ourselves a little bit like that, we get to see, observe all these sensations, all these feelings, all these emotions as what they are, the energies, but where do they originate from? This is a very important key for healers and empaths. So we talk a lot about these kinds of things.
And how do we set boundaries?
Well, there is a thing about giving something permission to be. Everything is first created in the mind. You first have to know what your boundaries are. I'll give you an example. Let's say there's someone in a relationship, a lady, she's in a relationship with a man, and the man is perhaps a little bit inappropriate. Maybe he touches her in ways that she doesn't like. She has to be able to say, no, I don't like you touching me that way. It's not acceptable. That's creating a boundary. If she's like, oh, don't, it's not a strong boundary. And it's about how, but first of all, we have to know what the boundaries are. We have to know, I don't like being touched that way. I don't like how I feel when this happens. I feel it's a violation and I'm not going to accept that. And I would say to the person, this is my boundary. If you cross this boundary, there will be consequences.
So we're not actually setting up the boundaries energetically. We're doing it through our minds.
Can you explain what you think the difference is?
The difference is energetically, I'm feeling with my emotional body, but thinking, I'm using the mind to create, or because when it's happening through the mind, I'm going through that egoic lens that this is right and this is wrong, and then I'm going back and forth of where to set it. But emotionally, it's just coming through the emotional body without the mind.
First of all, I'd like to point out that the mind and the ego are two separate things.
How so?
They're connected. Sorry?
I said, how so?
How so? Okay. We live in a reality of duality. There is no possibility of relationship. There is no possibility of connecting, or there's no possibility of me enjoying a sunset if I am one with the sunset. So ego is what gives us our individuality, or the perception of our individuality, so that we might perceive a difference between us and all the rest of all that is. That's really what ego is. Now, mind is it's another element. From a Vedic perspective, we have many elements. We have earth, water, air, fire, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. So ego is a very subtle element, more subtle than mind. Sometimes difficult to differentiate. But the mind and the ego work together, just as the mind and the body work together. But they are three separate things. The mind is a computer. It analyzes and it runs programs. Now, the programs are very much connected in with the ego because the programs are relating to our individuality. So, but they are different. They are different. However, let's come back to the original question about the emotional, feeling something emotionally and creating something mentally. They're all still part of the material universe. The mental energy and the emotional energy are just simply different vibrations of energy. When we feel an emotion, what we're feeling is a vibration within our energy body, within our emotional body. When we think a thought, we're thinking a vibration in our mental body. They're still vibrations, they're still energies, but they're just operating on slightly different frequencies. In order to manifest reality, we must master both the emotional and the mental. They must be in harmony. Oftentimes, people don't get what they pray for because their words are saying one thing and their beliefs and their emotions are saying something different. We must have the two in harmony. We first create in the mind, and then we embody the mental creation by bringing it into the emotional. So yes, we know what our boundaries are. We perceive them in the mind, then we feel them in the emotional body and the energetic body.
So we've been working on addiction this past week. How do you deal with addiction?
Well, we have to look at this from different angles. All addiction, in my understanding, in my experience, is a way to move away from pain,
Mm-hmm.
to mask pain. The only way to heal the pain is to allow it to do what it needs to do. Pain is there to show us something, to demonstrate something, to make us aware of something. It's like, pain is like the little light that comes up on the dashboard in your car that tells you there's something wrong with your engine. And what a lot of people do is they try to turn the light off. You know, they might put a little bit of tape over the light. They might pull the fuse. They might do something else to not see the light. But really what that light is there is telling us that there's something wrong, that something needs attention. So there's many ways that we can put the light out in our reality, in our physical reality of hiding our pain. We can master our pain with medication, with drugs, with gambling, with addictions to all sorts of things. It's always a way to try to cover up another pain. But it has, like any other kind of medication, it has many, many unpleasant side effects. Really, it's very, very difficult to overcome addictions because we have to find the source, the reason. What is it that we're trying to heal? What's the cause of the pain that causes us to need to self-medicate?
Mm-hmm.
An addiction to gambling is just as much about medicating the consciousness as addiction to heroin or anything else. Addiction is addiction. It's always about hiding from pain. We have to experience the pain. We have to allow the pain to come up. You see what happens from earliest ages? We experience pain, emotional pain, physical pain, mental pain, and we push it down. The emotions want to rise up. A child wants to get angry, and they're told, no, that's not acceptable behavior. And you're not allowed to behave that way. So we push the emotions down. And then another one comes and we push that down. Another one comes and we push that. We get into this dance where we're pushing the emotions down. We're creating a pressure cooker in our being. And by keeping all that emotional energy locked in our body, it causes physical problems that manifest in other ways because emotional energy compacted becomes more dense. It becomes physical.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We need to deal with it ideally before it gets to that stage because it's easier. Well, easier. It's less work. When things get to the physical, from a shamanic perspective, it's the most dense. It's so much easier to deal with things when they're still subtle, energetic, if you can see them. But most of us, we don't see it until it becomes so acute and painful. We get an addiction to alcohol. We end up with gout. We have to lose a leg. I know people that have had their legs cut off because of an addiction to alcohol. You know, imagine the amount of pain that your legs would have to be in order to need to get them amputated because they're so rotten. Surely it's better to look at the original pain that caused us to go into the addiction in the first place. But this is what's needed. We need to look at the pain. We need to allow it. We need to find that place of compassion for ourselves, for the people that cause this pain. Horrible things happen in this world. You know, I know people that have been sexually abused and molested and they've gotten into, you know, addictive behavior to just cover all that pain, to just try to they have to allow the pain. We're so afraid of pain. I don't like pain. I don't know anyone else does, but it just has to be felt.
Absolutely. So how do you do, if a client comes to you with this issue of addiction, how do you work with them?
Well, I don't have one formula that works for every single person. I have to work with the individual person. But I know people that I've worked with, people that suffer with addictions. They have to recognize the pattern. They will be in a pattern. They'll go to their addictive phase and then they'll come out of that for a little bit and they'll feel guilt and shame and all these things. And then they'll get angry maybe. And that gives them some motivation to get out of it. And then they feel guilty for being so angry. And then they get back into that and they get into this kind of looping cycle. They have to see the pattern. They have to observe it. They have to know it. And then we have to figure out where it's come from. What needs the addictions are meeting. We're not so complicated human beings. I know we like to think we are. We only have a few basic needs. But we find ways to meet those needs in ways which are not healthy. And often these addictions are ways of meeting needs, but in an unhealthy way. We just simply need to find healthy ways to meet our needs. And at the same time, deal with the pain and the trauma that we've been suffering from in the past and let go of that. From a Zen Buddhist point of view, it's all about being in the moment, being in the now. Now is all that is. The People talk about time being in 3 tenses, past, present, and future. This is a quote by Osho. He says this is not true. Time only exists in the past and the future. The now is eternal. There's no time in the now. So if we're only existing in the now, if the past is gone, why are we holding on to it? People say to me, how come you still laugh at the same jokes over and over again for years and years and years? I'm like, well, you cry about the same things for years and years and years. Why shouldn't I laugh about things for years and years? You know?
Yeah.
But the point is, in this moment, when I speak to my clients who are suffering with addictions, I bring them to this moment. In this moment now, are you suffering from that thing that caused you the pain in your childhood? No. In this moment, is everything okay? Yeah. Actually, in this moment, is everything perfect? Yeah, it really is. And 99.999% of the time, when people come into this moment, actually everything's okay. There's nothing wrong. And what we're struggling with is stuff from the past, and our mental projections and our emotional connection to stuff that's long in the past, that doesn't need to affect us anymore, but we're choosing to hold on to it. Like the empath who holds on to the pain of their clients or their friends. It's just let it go. Open the hand. There's a beautiful line from a song. When I closed my fist, of course I missed. There was nothing in my hand. There's nothing to hold on to. Nothing to hold on to.
Okay. So the suggestion is that for addict to bring themselves into the present moment the whole time.
If you could be present in this moment 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the rest of your life, you'd have no problems.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that people might conceive to be problems wouldn't be problems. It'd just be something that's passing. Everything passes. The only thing that doesn't pass, the only thing that doesn't change is the eternal nature of your essence, your being, the real you, the eternal you, your soul. Never changes. There's a beautiful line in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, he explains how a soul, the jiva, the real true you, cannot be wet by water, cannot be pierced by weapons, cannot be burnt by fire, never ages, never dies, is never born, is eternal, perfect. Spark of divine consciousness. This is who we really are. All this other stuff that's created by ego, we spoke about before, this is just a show, just an illusion. We don't need to attach to it. Who's attaching to it? When I'm speaking, I'm also listening. So if I'm listening, who's listening? Who's speaking? I can bring my awareness back. I can observe myself listening. I can observe myself speaking. I can observe myself watching and listening to all this going on. It's the observer behind all of this that isn't affected by the pain, therefore doesn't need to take the drugs or whatever it is that I'm addicted to.
Mm-hmm.
It's that spiritual distance that we require to be really transcendentally blissful and peaceful and whole. Everything else will pass. And we watch it passing. But if we become attached to it, that's where we're suffering. Suffering comes from clinging to something, to wishing for something to be other than it is. It is what it is. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? It is. It is. It is this. There was a Zen monk in Japan. He was well known. He was a famous master. One day, young girl, 15, 16 years old, she gets pregnant. She wants to protect the guy, her boyfriend. So she says it was the monk, you know, the Zen monk. And they came to him with the baby in their arms. Says, you did this. She says it's your child. Oh, it's interesting. So, this is your responsibility. Here, you take the baby. Oh, okay. Takes the baby. He raises the child for, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years, something like that. Eventually, her heart just can't contain it anymore. And she admits to her family that she lied to protect this guy. So they go back to the monk. Apparently, this isn't true. Oh, okay. Apparently, this is not, we want the baby. Okay, here you go. Complete non-attachment. That doesn't mean to be detached. He gave great care to the young child, the baby that he raised, with lots of love and care. But it's the non-attachment.
Beautiful said. Now, how do we bring ourselves to the, or keep ourselves in present moment?
Well, there's many techniques for that. And, you know, this has been the task of all great religions, I would say, to help us to be in this present moment. There's so many things we could do. I have a nice technique that I share with people. A lot of my clients are doing this now. They set an alarm, a reminder to go off on their phone every half an hour, just with a bing. And when that sound goes off, they know that they just need to remind them, what was I thinking just now? What was I feeling just now? Take a few breaths. Carry on. The alarm goes off again, another half an hour. What was I thinking? Oh, okay. What was I feeling? Okay, let's take some breaths. Carry on. And then what happens is we get into the habit of coming back into presence. What was I thinking? Most of the time, the mind is rambling. We don't know what he's thinking about. We could be quoting lines from you know, Netflix series we've been watching, or something somebody said to us, replaying conversations. The mind is just constantly chattering. Just something that can just remind us to come back into presence. Really simple, powerful tool. Other people like to chant mantras, names of gods on beads. The purpose of this is to be fully present while we're chanting. Fully present. If we're doing it absent-mindedly, thinking about other things, wasting your time. Full 100% concentration and presence on the words, the mantras, the names of God that you're chanting on these beads. Full presence. And then what happens is you keep the beads in your hand all the time. And then the habit's there, and then you start moving the beads in your hand. Oh, yes, thinking of God. Bringing back to presence, back to awareness, back to consciousness. Anything like this that brings you back into presence.
So maybe we should set up our phones that give us a heads up every 5 minutes, be present.
Yeah, 5 minutes
As
is maybe
a reminder.
It's maybe a little too frequent, you know. I find a lot of people find that half an hour is quite intense. Because
Really?
you know they're beginning about the day and they'll just turn the thing off and get on with, you know, oh, it's a distraction. We really have to discipline. There's this beautiful word in the Pali language. Pali is the language of the Buddha, and the word is adithan, and it means a firm determination. Make a firm determination that every half an hour when this bell goes off, I'm going to come back into presence. And actually it's interesting you're speaking of addictions. I have a history with marijuana. In my youth, I smoked a lot, and I was some people say it's not addictive. I disagree. For me personally, it was a very addictive substance. Yeah. I would smoke every day, and every day I would not enjoy being stoned. And I knew it. I just could not stop myself rolling these joints and smoking every day. It was the weirdest thing. I knew I was addicted. And I tried so many times. Right, when I finish this, I'm not going to buy anymore. Sure as anything, as soon as I finished, someone would come and bring me some, or I'd meet my friends. Oh, I just got some more. Would you? Every time, it just kept very difficult for me to quit. I made an adithan, a firm determination. I am not doing this anymore. I am now a non-smoker. Once I made that firm determination, that absolute 100% commitment to myself and my creator, this is it. Last one. I stopped. And when the temptation came, I remembered my determination. I remembered my adithan. No, I've made a commitment. No more. I don't do that anymore.
As they say, you got to keep reminding yourself you're bigger than your addiction. You're stronger than your addiction.
Yeah, particularly when we consider that most addictions are to deal with childhood traumas, and we're now an adult. Very much so. Very much so. Yeah.
So we had a question, how to be non-attached.
It takes practice. We have to accept. If we love someone, whatever they want to do that makes them happy has to be okay with us. If your child wants to go off and stay out late and do their thing, or they want to watch movies all night, or whatever it is, you know, if we really truly love them, we have to allow them the freedom to do what they want. Maybe a child is not the best example, because we have to have some level of disciplining our children and parenting. But, you know, you have a friend, she has this habit that you don't like. We have to accept these things about people. We accept all that is, because it just is. If I have a problem with you and something about you, it's not your problem, it's my problem. I'm the one with the problem. If someone annoys me, it's nothing to do with them. If somebody criticizes me, judges me, criticizes me, attacks me, it's nothing to do with me. It's all about them. Okay, well, that's their problem. Unless someone attacks me physically, I mean, even Jesus would say, turn the other cheek. Just allow everything. Just accept that everything is as it is. We're not the creator. I didn't create this universe. Well, not all of me didn't create the universe. You know, I'm part of all that is, part of that creation, but I didn't make it happen. We're just here to experience. So experience. It's to not be attached to the fruits of your actions. We perform our service. We perform our duty. We go to work. We put food on the table. We feed our children. We do all the things that are needful. It's our service, dharma, as they would say in India. But we don't need to be attached to what happens, to the outcome. We leave that to the Creator.
But this is somehow like explaining it. But how could I use this non-attachment? I have the understanding that I shouldn't be attached, but yet I am attached.
Why?
Why am I attached?
What are you attached to? Give me an example. Let's talk about, if you don't mind, something concrete.
No, but I'm not talking about myself. I'm just reading what everyone is saying. I have come to that point that I have surrendered to whatever it is, and whatever is showing up, it is what it is. I don't really have something that I'm attached to. I let go of a lot of material things.
I see a question here. Nirvana dead?
Yes, that's her. Yeah.
How to love and not be attached to the loved ones. For example, my boyfriend. This is a really nice question. Okay, so whatever your boyfriend wants to do that makes him happy has to be okay with you, because you love him unconditionally. This is what it means to have unconditional love. I love you no matter what you say or do. I just love you. That's all there is to it. Just love. If it makes you happy, you do it. Now, I have many people who I know who are into this kind of open relationship, polyamorous kind of relationship, and they say, well, you know, if you want to meet with other people and engage sexually with other people, if that's what makes you happy, then you're free to do whatever you want to do. I want you to be happy because I love you. I want nothing in exchange for this love, just for you to be happy. That's an extreme example, but it's a good one because it's extreme. Everything has to be okay. It is what it is. If I'm attached to the outcome of something, that attachment is only going to cause me suffering. Oh, my boyfriend never buys me flowers. All I want is flowers from my boyfriend. He never buys me flowers. I'll never be happy because my boyfriend never buys me flowers. No, it's not I won't be happy because he doesn't buy me flowers. It's I will not be happy. I will not allow myself to be happy because I want him to do something that he doesn't do. I have an attachment to something that isn't. Therefore, because of the lack of that thing, I'm not going to be happy. Well, you set that up for yourself. Being happy is not mutually exclusive with other things. It's a choice to be happy. I'm in control of my emotional state. I want to be happy. I like the feeling of being happy. So I choose that state of consciousness. What helps me to be happy is to not have attachments, not have needs for things to be a certain way other than they are. I'll allow things to be as they are. If it doesn't go the way I want, it doesn't go that way. Okay, maybe something better's meant to happen. Terrible things happen. Terrible things happen. I used to live on a boat in London on the canal. I built the boat myself. I wasn't completely finished building it. Some disaster happened and my boat sunk. I lost in one moment. I lost my home, all my possessions, my place of work because I worked from home. Everything gone, sunk at the bottom of the canal. I remember standing there at the side of the river thinking, I could freak out right now. No one would blame me. It's not going to help. And somewhere in this disaster, there's a blessing. I know I can't see the blessing now because time is in the way, but there's a blessing in here, maybe several. So I'm just going to do the needful, do my duty, do what I have to do to remedy the situation as best I can, knowing there's a blessing in here somewhere. And I did. I got the boat up, cleaned it out, refitted it. I stayed at a friend's house for 6 months while I was doing it. It took a long time. And there were revealed many, many blessings from the situation. But if I'd lost it, if I just totally freaked out, who knows what would have happened? But I wouldn't have had a good outcome from the situation. There's no possibility of a good outcome. Just accept what is. Be with what is.
So I get this, but when this happened, at what stage of your journey were you in? Because it's very easy said. Mentally, we understand that we should be detached. Mentally know that we have to convince ourselves that it is what it is. You just got to let go. But it's not an easy task to do. So when that happened with your boat sink, what stage of your life? Did you already went to India and you already had some teaching or?
Yeah, I had. Yeah, this was 5 years ago. So yes, I'd had a long journey already. I'd spent time in the monasteries already. I'd been to the Amazon, started training. I'd been working as a healer already. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Spiritually, I'd done a lot of work. Materially speaking, I didn't have a whole lot. It was all there. So, but this is, I don't know, I think people can come to this at any moment. It's like a wake up. Oh, I'm eternal. All of this is temporary. Okay. So none of this really matters. It's all passing through. It's like a theater. It's a divine theater. This whole universe. It's all for show. But we're the observers. And the actors. And the directors. And the writers. And the producers. But it's just a cosmic theater. Looking at it from that point of view, it's much easier to be non-attached. I don't say detached, because the word detached implies that we don't care. It's very important to be caring, compassionate beings. People are suffering. But the cause of their suffering, as I say, is attachment. They're attached to the body. They're attached to their life. They're attached to their home, their possessions, their loved ones. It's the attachments that cause the pain. We can love without attachment.
So, Copal, I do a lot of coaching and I get really, really deep into the root cause. My understanding is people are not there, and the majority of people are not there to that level of consciousness to take this. Okay, I shouldn't be. Just this morning before I live, I had a session with someone who is married. Her kids are growing up. She knows that her marriage is over, but she's still in her husband's business. I mean, she's been with me for a while. She learned all this stuff. But when I asked her, I said, can you really, truly let your husband be and do what he wants? She says no. So it's harder for majority of people just to hear these and be able and capable to do it and be okay with it.
Sure. Yeah, I realize that. My question to your client would be, do you really love your husband?
Yeah, she said I do.
Yeah, if she really loves him, anything he wants to do that makes him happy, makes him feel better, has to be okay. If it's not okay for you to allow your husband to do what makes him happy, how can you really truly say you love him? If you really truly love someone, you want the absolute best for them.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to trust that a person knows what's best for them. There are cases when people don't, of course, but we have to allow people the freedom to make their own choices.
Even if it's flirting with other women, or even if it's sabotaging her marriage?
We have to look at the bigger picture. So I was in a relationship that ended 14 years ago. I believed this woman to be the love of my life. And when our child was 2 or 3 years old, she said to me, I've always had doubts whether you were the right person for me. Now that I can't live with those, I need to leave the relationship. And I observed myself. Could you hear me there? Because it looked like there was a timeout.
Yeah,
Okay.
for a second. Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
like
hear
a
you.
buffering. So I said to her, look, I love you. The most important thing for me is that you're happy. If you feel you're going to be happy on your own, then you must pursue that path. If you feel you're going to be happy in a relationship with somebody else, then you must pursue that path. And I give you my blessings. I'll always love you. We'll always be friends. We're co-parents. We have a child together. We'll always be in each other's lives. I don't want to keep you in a marriage where you're not happy. It would be immoral. So we separated.
But then again, the question is, at what stage of your journey were you able to say this? And did you just say this, or were you really truly okay with it? You didn't suffer afterwards. You didn't look back and what could have been, or where did I go wrong?
I honestly don't think the stage in my journey makes a difference, because anybody can come to that point, that these levels of realizations at any point in their journey. You're not required to go and live in a monastery for 10 years to have these realizations. You're not required to, drink ayahuasca or do anything like that to have these quality of realizations. We're all connected with the divine consciousness. Any one of us at any moment in time can have that aha moment. Oh, I am a divine being. I am a soul, eternal soul in this body, which is a temporary passing phase. I'm just here for experience. This lifetime is just the equivalent of one dream in one night's dreaming of your entire soul's evolution. It's really not a big deal. If we can see it that way, if we can see the eternality.
But we can't see that. We can't really see that the majority of people were not there. Let me tell you about myself. 15 years ago, I was suffering with everything. I was suffering with OCD, with ADHD, with being controlling, were getting into arguments with everyone. All those years, up to 15 years ago, nothing would help me to think that, oh, I'm an internal being and I'm like this love and soul and that, until I had that point of awakening. So it's not that we could say, oh, for majority of people, I think this is just a lecture, because I'm working deep with many clients daily, and they have many issues, and they all know this stuff. They even had gurus. They've been to India. They're 60, 70 years old, yet they can't comprehend that, yes, I am light and soul and one with the universe. People are not able to use this in their daily lives.
Then we need to find ways in which we can bring these concepts into our daily life. This is what the teachings of the Buddha are all about. You have Buddha behind you, I like that. His teachings are there to guide us to live in this world, yet to have an eye on the eternal. The same with the teachings, the true teachings of Jesus Christ. They're teaching us to be spiritual beings having a human experience, not human beings having a spiritual experience. There's a vast difference. It's about dovetailing our life with our spiritual life. You know what dovetailing is?
No.
No. Okay, you know in some of this like really old furniture, when they make a
Mm-hmm.
drawer and the joins join like that, and they make these little dovetail shapes that join together, that bind together, that hold the two sides of a drawer together. This in carpentry is called dovetailing. So we learn to
Okay.
dovetail our life with our spiritual life, so they two interlink so harmoniously and hold each other together. We are here in this physical body. We are going to have to eat. We are going to have to feed our children. We're going to have to do all of those things. But at the same time, we are this eternal being. We have to find ways in which we can meet the two lives together, that we can spiritualize our life. And by making these things a habit, our consciousness changes. If all we focus on is the mundane, the material, the jobs, the things we have to do, the Netflix or whatever it is that we do on a regular, if that's all we focus on, then it's very difficult to have these experiences where we feel a greater connection with spirit. But if we do something every day to enhance our spiritual life, and if we spiritualize all the things that we do, then
And what is that? How do we do that?
Well, what do you listen to when you're driving in your car? You know, what kind of music do you listen to? What books do you read? What type of conversations do you have? How do you dress? What do you think about? You know, how, I mean, it's like if I wear jewelry, I very rarely wear jewelry now, but all the jewelry I would wear would have some significance. I used to wear a ring, it's called a Navaratan. It was a ring from the Vedic, an astrological ring. It had 9 stones. Each stone represents a different planet. It was connected with an astrology. I would look at that and I'd feel a connection with the planets. Just like all these little details, all the little details. Spirituality is not one thing that you do. Oh, I go to church each week, or I go to the mosque each week, therefore I'm spiritual. No. Spirituality is all the little things that you do, moment to moment, day by day, that make your life a spiritual thing. What's the first thing you think about when you wake up in the morning? What's the last thing you think about when you go to bed at night? How do you breathe? It's all these little things. What is your state of consciousness when you're cooking? What type of food do you choose to eat? All of these things affect consciousness. Consciousness is a vibration. What we do in this physical body affects the vibration of our overall being. So we want to be raising our vibration. If you listen to thrash metal music, you're lowering your vibration. If you take drugs, if you eat, you know, lots of heavy, dense food, lots of meat, you're lowering your vibration. We want to raise our vibration. And by doing so, we spiritualize our life. And we have these moments of clarity.
Great.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So tell me, what do you think about Age of Aquarius? Do you think we have moved there, or this is another illusion? What do you think?
Well, whether we are in the age of Aquarius or not, nobody can say for absolutely sure, because nobody can agree on exactly where the clock is. And we have a clock, I know, and it's called the zodiac. And we have the way that on the spring equinox, when the sun rises, it will rise in a different constellation depending on which age we're in. In the age of Pisces, on the first day of the spring equinox, the sun rose for the first day in the age of Pisces. And that's a period of time that lasts around 2,000 years. Now, the age of Pisces is kind of come or coming to a close. And on the spring equinox, on the first day of the age of Aquarius, the sun rises in a new position. It rises in Aquarius. Nobody can quite agree exactly where that boundary is. So we're on the cusp. There's like a, maybe we're still in Pisces, maybe we're in Aquarius. Yeah, it's definitely a thing. The age of Aquarius is dawning. Whether we're fully in it or not, or we're still on the cusp, difficult to say. No one can actually agree. But we're moving in that direction. The age of Pisces was a 2,000-year cycle, 2,000-year period of time. Things pass. The age of Aquarius will be quite different than the age of Pisces. But it might take 100 years, 200 years before we really notice it, you know.
Mhm.
It's definitely a thing.
So here's my last question. You went to India and you worked with some gurus, and the teaching was Vedic, and then you went to Peru and worked with shamans. How were these two experiences different?
The process is very similar. The
Mm,
intention is to reach a higher state of consciousness, to move towards enlightenment, to evolve. The sadhus in India, they go up to the mountains, they sit alone, and they meditate, they pray, they connect with God. The shamans of the forest, they go into the forest, they sit alone, they connect with the spirits. It's kind of the same. There's this word in Vedic culture called tapasya. It's the austerity of being alone in the forest and renouncing all the material comforts. They do the same thing in the forest that they do in the Himalayas. It's not so
mhm.
different. It's just different language, different terminology. It's essentially the same.
But I mean, for you, as your experience.
I resonated with both, but I felt my time in the East gave rise to my time in the West. I literally moved from the East to the West. It just felt I followed my heart. I was called to move in that direction. No,
How old were
neither
you?
is best. Sorry.
How old were you?
Um, well, I'm 46 this year, and I've been going to the Amazon for a dozen years, 13 years.
Mhm. When you
So I
went
made
to
that transition.
India?
Oh, when I went to India, I was 19, 18, 19. I went to
Mhm,
find out about yoga. Someone taught me yoga
mhm.
when I was in the Middle East. I was doing work in Israel, and someone taught me yoga. I thought it was amazing. Never heard of it before. But it made me feel so good. Where does this come from? It's to come from India. Right, I've got to go to India. I need to find out more about this. And I went, and you know, became a yoga teacher. You know, I got so into it. Fascinating. Learned about the meditation and stilling the mind and all the teachings of the Buddha and oh, it's fantastic. Such a rich, deep history and culture. So much knowledge and wisdom. And the Amazon, I guess the main difference is in the Vedic culture, you have all these books, you have all this knowledge that's written down and passed on. It's like given to the next generation like that. Beautiful. In the Amazon, it's not like that. There's no books. There's
Mhm.
no teaching. This is what you do. This is how you do it. It's all experiential. My teacher says to me, okay, you go into the forest, you sit alone, eat this, see what happens. I can't tell you what's going to happen. It's your experience. Okay. Is it safe? Yeah, it's safe. I've done it. It's safe. You'll be okay. I'll keep an eye on you from a distance. Okay, cool. I have my own experience. No one can tell me what it is. No one, you know, it's like, it's just very different in that sense. But the aim is the same. The aim is
Mhm.
God. The aim is oneness. It's connection. It's all of that lovely stuff.
Mhm.
But we don't need to go to either places. You can have the same experience in your living room. We can
Yeah.
connect. We are connected. We're all connected. Yeah.
Now, since I told you that I also went to Peru and worked with shamans, but how did you find your shamans? And as you know, when you go there, there are so many different shamans. And for people who want to do that, how do you pick? Who do you know who's real and who's not?
It's very challenging. It's very challenging. I always say there's more showmen than shamans. And there's a lot of people who would like to just take your money. And I've heard of some very unpleasant stories of people who've gone out there and met some random shaman and
Yeah.
had horrible experience. It's very difficult. And I was very lucky. I met someone, we became friends, we hung out a lot. He was working with the shaman in the forest, said, would you like to come and meet my guy? I'm like, yeah, of course. So hi Charlotte. I've just seen a friend pop up on there. That's lovely to see you. Yeah. So I was very blessed to be taken out to the forest by a friend of mine, and I developed a relationship with this particular shaman, and we've been friends for the past 13 years or so. And I whenever I go to him. I don't need to go anywhere else. Everything I need is there. The plants, the trees, the accommodation, my friends. I'm very happy going there. I don't need to go anywhere else. So.
Do you have any recommendation how people can find the right shaman?
Well, I can recommend Enrique. He's a very good man. He's very trustworthy. I like him a lot. I try to go to the forest myself once a year, if possible. I mean, in this current situation, it's very difficult. And when I go, I welcome people to come with me so I can, be of assistance during that process. It's quite a thing, as you know. You've been there yourself, to go to the forest and meet a shaman and do it, this whole retreat process. It's very strong. So I organize these from time to time so I can be a support network for people as we do this. And if I go again, yeah, people are welcome to contact me and see if they want to come with me. I find it a little weird to kind of just say, yeah, go out there and find this guy. It's like, it's a weird place,
Yeah.
It's an odd culture. I wouldn't want to be, in a way, I wouldn't really want to be responsible for sending someone out there, because anything can happen, really. I don't want to put people off. I just don't want to be responsible for anything dodgy happening to people. Yeah.
Are you familiar with John of God from Brazil?
I have heard the name. Yeah, I don't know so much about him. I've heard things.
Yeah. It's I was thinking about going many years ago before things start showing up about him, the true him, and what he was doing. It was also some abuse and sexual abuse and stuff was going on in that center. But I went to Toronto, Canada to meet him, and there were like 2,000 people show up, and I only lasted there maybe for 3-4 hours. I just felt very pulled back and disconnected. It reminded me kind of the movie Love, Pray, and what was
Eat, Pray,
that
Love.
movie? Yeah, Eat, Pray,
Yeah.
Love. I was like, I'm right here, and I'm supposed to, the feeling 2,000 people gathering, and I felt so like, I got to get out of here. I didn't feel right. And
well, I mean, we haven't met before, but I get a feeling that you're an empath, and being in a room surrounded by 2,000 people is a very intense experience for an empath. And I can imagine that being quite overwhelming. Even if they're all really lovely people, there's a lot of energy. It's a lot of energy to be surrounded.
But that's true. But also, I didn't feel him. I didn't connect it with him. There was something that wasn't. There wasn't that purity. That's what I was picking up.
Yeah. Well, from some of the things I've heard, it sounds like you were spot on.
Yeah.
I don't know if what I've heard is true. I try to avoid politics as much as possible.
I hear you. So here's the deal. We would love to talk to you more, but as you see, we have this issue with echoes and that stuff. If you feel up to it, I would love to do another join live whenever you're free.
I think that would be lovely. I've really enjoyed talking with you. It's been a lovely conversation. And I would be honored to come and talk with you again.
That would be great. You have a lovely day, and thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. You too. You too.
You too. Bye-bye. Thank you.
God bless. Bye-bye.
God bless you. Bye-bye, guys. Okay, everybody. How was it? Yeah, I know we had some echo, some issues. But as you see, we don't have it right now. It's not coming from my phone, but hopefully we will fix this. How was it, guys? What did you get out of this? Healing and shamanism, it's a huge, huge, huge deals. But I'm just going to respond quickly. Someone asked, how would I know that I'm a healer? Yes, great conversation. Okay, good. Yeah, the echo issue wasn't good, but now we're good. Anyhow, um, I think healing, I believe deep inside we are all healers, right? So the way this is my translation, the way I can explain it is when we start removing, like when we really get into the ego mind and we start layer by layer see all the identities that the ego is creating, or when we really believe what the ego mind is telling us and we resonate with all of those. At some point in time, we would sit down and we start releasing each one of these. Remember the other day about addiction, I said that there was something was it in Vedic or some Indian guru who said, when you sit down day after day and you ask yourself, who am I? And whatever arises, you just don't connect, you don't attach to it, you let it go. And then it keeps coming up. The next thing arises, the next thing arises. And you get to your true self when you sit down and ask your question for the next time and you see, oh, there's an absence. Nothing is coming up. Nothing to identify with. That's the time when you're really tapping, tuning to your true self or your higher self, right? So to get to that point, as we were having this conversation, guys, is nothing that's set on stone. It's not like, oh, it's going to take years or it's going to take, because awakening or liberation can happen in an instant, right? And for each one of us, the time could be different, but it's not something that you have to go here or there, or it's going to take this long to do it or whatever. It has nothing to do with that. It's just that first there's this desire. The desire comes up that I feel I want to really tap in, tune in to my to become my true essence, or meet my higher self or whatever. That's the first step, right? When we get there, then but day by day I am aware that this is a desire. The desire is to know our true selves. So when that desire is there, then we do the practice, and that can be, it could be different, you know. It depends on what is the urge, how much that urge is coming up. The more I have that urge to get to know my true selves, probably the more time I spend with myself, whether it's to get to nature, spend more time in nature, whether it's about keep reminding myself to be fully present in this moment. By doing that day after day, and how often do I do that? How committed am I on doing that? Like, so now it's been years that I'm really committed to be fully present at each moment. And once I have that commitment, I know there is nothing else, there is no task more important than me being aware that I have to be present here right now. Okay, so what is Copal saying? Nature is our home. The more we connect, the better we feel. Exactly, right? So this is a decision, guys. Like, how much time do I want to spend on social media? How much do I want to be distracted? How much do I want? And we talked about addiction, remember? In my last live, we talked about it, that these urges are constantly coming up. And if you remember going back to our webinar, day one, we talked about this, that we don't even have to sit down. We can be walking, we can be doing stuff, we can be driving in traffic. But we are reminding ourselves that we have to be fully present as we're driving. We're just looking at everything, absorbing everything. We're looking at each car, you know. We're just so fully present at wherever we are. And once we're really present at each moment, then the first thing is the vision, the picture, the translation of the mind. But when we move beyond that, then we start getting into emotional body. We start to feel it. We start to sense the vibration. I am so fully present right now that I can feel the energy here, the energy that's traffic. And then all of a sudden, while I am trying to be fully present here and tune into my energetic body field, all of a sudden a car uses its horn and I'm just jumping up. And in that moment, since I'm doing my practice of being fully present and mindful, I come to myself and I realize that I don't need to be reactive to the other driver. And then the next thing shows up, and I'm so fully present and mindful that I'm not reacting to something. Or I take few seconds back and I tell myself, my mind can translate this into so many ways, but I'm not my mind. I don't even need to make a meaning of this action. My main task is to be fully present here. How about if no matter what's happening here, I pull back and I'm fully present, bringing my attention on my breath. And it could be a war out there, but I'm fully present here. I don't need to get involved. I'm fully present and coming back to my breath. I live in Germany and I know German and Persian, but I don't understand much English. Excuse me. No problem, Lovey. Maybe next time you can start thinking, is it useful for me to learn English as another language? I know we are here to learn, but sometimes we have to prioritize what is more important for us to learn right now. You're asking me a question about positive energy, right? Okay. So who is the one who's asking this question? Who wants to know about positive energy? So being fully present and mindful is that I am constantly aware of the questionnaire. Is the one who wants to know about positive energy the mind? Yeah. What is the mind constantly creates questions, right? I said this is a game that the mind and ego plays. They create a questions, they create a problem, and then they want to look for a solution, how to resolve that problem or issue. So at this moment that I'm present and I'm asking who wants to know about positive energy, and I know it's the mind, then I can do something else, guys. I can let the questionnaire go. I don't have to mind him. And then I come to myself and I say, I'm fully present again. And I would say, let me see how positive energy feels in my body. Because we want to train our emotional body to feel more. And we understand that it's okay to feel. And the more we suppress the feelings, the more pressure will build up, and it's going to come up with more force. So we don't want to shut down our feelings. We don't want to ignore the feelings. But at this point, I'm coming to my body and I'm saying this emotional body can experience many different feelings, as hunger, anger, happiness, joy, right? And I said, let me see how I feel at this moment. And as a creator, if the feeling that's coming up, it's depression, I'm looking at the depression and I said, oh, great. You are here as a teacher to teach me something, or I know that you're arising for me to see you and experience depression. Now I can choose at this moment to continue experience the depression, or I can say, okay, great, I see you, I hear you, I know that you want to be noticed, I have noticed you, I'm going to release you, non-attachment, I'm not going to attach to you, and I'm going to, as a creator, I would like to experience joy and happiness, peace, calmness. And I create this emotion in my emotional body. And then I train my emotional body day after day to experience happiness, joy. Is there a way to make peace with our ego so we can't stop the fight? Of course it is, honey. First of all, who is the one who's asking this question? That can I make peace with my ego? Who is asking this? Who is the questionnaire? Can you identify who wants to make peace with the ego? Is it the mind ego who's creating these questions and asking, is it possible? Yes, of course it's possible. So yeah, definitely the ego. Okay, so the ego is asking the question, is there a way to be in harmony and peace with ourself? The ego is mirroring a part of you. The ego is bringing to my attention right now, is it possible for me to be in peace and harmony with myself? Of course, absolutely. That's a choice. Then you say to yourself, No, Abby, I'm sorry. I don't speak German. I speak French, and I studied Dutch, meaning from Netherlands, but no. But anyhow, welcome. I love German language, though I have to say. I have this adoration about German language. So, the ego is my shadow. As my shadow, it's coming to the light and asking me, can I become in peace and harmony with myself? And me, who is aware right now, the ego that I talk about, who's up there watching this character, that part of me is saying, absolutely, yes, it is possible to be in peace. I can even tell my ego, what makes you happy? How can I get rid of stress? Hi, brother of Nibis. How can you get rid of stress? That's a very good question, love. Okay, so let's identify what stress is. And then my question is, who is the one who is experiencing this stress? First, you need to pull back. Okay, pull back. And I always say that because I have this connection with eagles and hawks, I often say, see yourself as that eagle who's sitting way, 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 way up there and seeing and absorbing everything from a higher place. So see yourself as being that ego up there, and then look at this character as you have recognized and made a connection till this moment. Look at him or her from up there. Realize that this character is way beyond the mind, ego. The true essence of this character is the soul that is eternal, the soul that is the whole knowing, the soul that is creator, right? The soul that is a spiritual being coming here to have a different experience at this density of 3D. So look at this character from up there. And then see that this character, when it's coming from the mind and ego, the next step is that the emotional body is having this feeling of stress and anxiety. Okay, so the ego mind is thinking, the thinking machine is thinking of stress, thinking of a situation, taking you back to the past and the past experiences. Okay, so after your mind and ego started to see events, think about something that can create stress, or in another way, when your mind and ego is connecting to the stress, then you're feeling it. The translation of that is being experienced in your emotional body. You're feeling stress, unease. And then it comes to your physical body, heart palpitations, shortness of breath, and all this. Okay, so that character is the one who's experiencing all this. That's why the first question is, who is experiencing stress? If you are that character, the soul, which is beyond the mind and body and blah, 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 you are not experiencing. You are witnessing this character experiencing the stress. But you are not stressed. Stress, like 100 other feelings, are a feeling that can be experienced. So is happiness and joy. When I'm aware, I am aware that I don't need to experience this. I have many other choices. What would I like to choose? You don't go to a restaurant and you are forced to eat spaghetti and meatballs. When you go to a restaurant, you have a choice. What kind of food you would like to eat or order. The same thing here with feelings. Nobody is forcing us to feel a feeling. We are choosing what we want to feel. But if I'm not aware that I have choices, then the mind and ego will choose for me. And that's maybe not a good place to be. Because there are many experiences that's been experienced, but I'm powerless, and I think I'm forced to experience those. Okay? All right, everybody, I'm going to end this live. And I'm going to see you guys Sunday 10 a.m. We're going to continue with addiction. And I want to know by then, what are you addicted to? And what areas you need help with? So please write down your comments about what are your addictions. What have you found out about your addiction? How much did you study about your addiction? And what tools have you found that's been helpful or hasn't been helpful to you? Write down your comments and I will see you guys on Sunday. Bye-bye, everybody. See you then.